Ladies and gentlemen, today we dive deep into one of the most significant geopolitical developments shaping the Indian Ocean region. A move that signals not just economic cooperation, but strategic alignment, diplomatic trust, and long-term regional security. India has pledged a massive 680 million United States dollars in aid to Mauritius, a small island nation, but one that holds an outsized importance in the geopolitics of the Indo-Pacific. This aid package covers infrastructure, maritime security, and healthcare. And it is not just a financial gesture, but a declaration of intent. Now, let's break this down carefully. Why is this pledge so important? Why Mauritius? And why now? The answers to these questions take us into the heart of India's foreign policy priorities. Its competition with China and its vision for the Indian Ocean as a zone of stability, prosperity, and strategic depth. But today's pledge of 680 million United States dollars represents more than just cultural closeness. It is a signal that India wants to lock in Mauritius as a long-term strategic partner. Let's examine the three main areas where this aid will be directed: infrastructure, maritime security, and healthcare. We're talking about modern roads, smart ports, airports, digital infrastructure, renewable energy projects, all areas where India can contribute both technology and expertise. By building these assets, India is not only helping Mauritius grow economically, but also creating long-term goodwill, trust, and influence. Second, maritime security. This might be the most important aspect of the pledge. The Indian Ocean is the lifeline of global trade. Almost 80% of global oil shipments and a significant portion of container trade pass through this ocean. Piracy, terrorism, and great power rivalry all threaten its stability. Mauritius, despite its small size, controls a large exclusive economic zone, nearly 2.3 million square kilometers of maritime area. Securing this area is beyond Mauritius' capabilities alone. By pledging aid in maritime security, India is stepping in as a security provider. We're talking about patrol vessels, radar systems, surveillance technology, and possibly even military training. India already maintains a strong naval presence in the region, with bases in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and facilities in countries like Seychelles. Strengthening Mauritius adds another piece to this strategic chain, a network that ensures India's Navy has reach, depth, and reliability in the Indian Ocean. And remember, this isn't just about India. Other powers are watching closely. China has its first overseas military base in Djibouti, right at the entrance of the Red Sea. Beijing has also made investments in Sri Lanka's Hambantota port, the Maldives, and other Indian Ocean nations. India's support to Mauritius can be seen as a direct counter to Chinese influence. Sends a message. The Indian Ocean is not China's playground. The third component of the aid is healthcare. At first glance, this may seem like a soft area compared to ports and security. But healthcare is deeply strategic. The COVID-19 pandemic showed us how health systems can define global alliances. Remember, India was called the pharmacy of the world when it supplied vaccines to dozens of countries, including Mauritius, by investing in hospitals, medical research, training doctors, and supplying pharmaceuticals. India builds a deep human connection. When a Mauritian family receives healthcare in an Indian-supported hospital, when a life is saved because of Indian medicine, that builds a bond of trust that no other country can easily replicate. So what does all this mean for the larger picture? Let's step back. This pledge of 680 million United States dollars is not just about Mauritius. It is about the future of the Indian Ocean. India is asserting itself as a responsible power, as a nation that is willing to shoulder the burden of stability in its neighborhood. At the same time, this move tells us something about India's broader foreign policy strategy. New Delhi is increasingly confident on the global stage, sees itself not just as a regional player, but as a global leader. Whether it's in trade, climate change, or security, India is signaling that it will not be sidelined by the US-China rivalry. Instead, it will carve its own path, one that protects its interests and supports its partners. Now let's consider the timing. Why now? Why September 2025? The world is in flux. The U.S. has doubled tariffs on Indian exports, creating pressure on India's economy. Europe is negotiating a free trade deal with India, but it's slow and complex. China is pushing a new global order alongside Russia. Against this backdrop, India knows that securing its maritime neighborhood is vital. Mauritius, sitting like a jewel in the Indian Ocean, becomes central to this strategy. Furthermore, Africa is rising. The continent is expected to be home to 1/4 of the world's population by 2050. Trade, energy, and connectivity with Africa will define the next century. Mauritius is a natural gateway to Africa, both geographically and financially. Strengthening Mauritius means strengthening India's access to Africa. This is why the pledge is not just an aid package, it's a strategic investment. An investment in geography, in security, in economics, and in people. Now, let's also consider the optics. For Mauritius, India's support is invaluable. The island nation has often felt squeezed between larger powers, with China offering loans and Western countries offering conditional aid. Mauritius sees India as a trusted partner that shares its history, culture, and aspirations. For India, this pledge cements its role as the first responder in the region, the nation that smaller countries can rely on when they need help. But there are challenges too. India will need to ensure that these projects are delivered on time, that the aid does not get caught in bureaucratic delays, and that local communities in Mauritius truly feel the benefit. Otherwise, China or other rivals may exploit dissatisfaction. As we move forward, the importance of this development cannot be overstated. India's pledge of $680 million is a powerful symbol of intent. It demonstrates that India will not watch from the sidelines as others shape its neighborhood. Instead, New Delhi will step up, invest, secure, and lead. This is not just a story of aid. This is a story of vision. A vision for an Indian Ocean that is peaceful, prosperous, and protected. A vision for a partnership between India and Mauritius that goes beyond numbers and into the realm of shared destiny. And a vision for India's future, as a nation that is ready to lead not only its own people, but also its neighbors, toward a more stable and secure tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are witnessing is the unfolding of a new chapter in India's foreign policy. The Indian Ocean is being reshaped, and at its center, India is placing its flag not just in words, but in action, in roads, in ships, in hospitals, and in trust. This is the story of India and Mauritius. This is the story of aid that is more than aid. This is the story of strategy, security, and solidarity. And it is only the beginning.